Giannis Antetokounmpo was the 15th pick in the 2013 NBA Draft. That 2013 class was considered a pretty weak one at the time, and that was the year when Anthony Bennett, the biggest bust in NBA history, went number 1. Oddly enough, most of the best players from that 2013 class were not even lottery picks. Giannis is one of those ultra-successful non-lottery picks, as he's already a 2-time league MVP and the reigning Defensive Player of the Year at just 25 years of age. Judging by how many teams passed on him, it could be easy to assume that few expected Antetokounmpo to be this good. But what exactly were some analysts saying about Giannis Antetokounmpo before and right after the 2013 NBA Draft? Today, we will take a look at the most inaccurate draft analysis predictions for Milwaukee Bucks superstar Giannis Antetokounmpo. But before we do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. So first, let's take a look at the immediate reactions from NBA Draft Analysts panel right after Giannis was taken 15th by the Bucks. What we have, Reese, is the youngest player in the draft and the most mysterious. This young man did not leave the country of Greece until 3 weeks ago when he played at a tournament in Italy. And he was fortunate because at that tournament, all 30 NBA teams could see him and not worry about the YouTube videos. He's got a Kevin Durant body, handles the ball like a point forward, has a great feel for the game, and he's a great kid with a high motor. But this is a pick that will certainly be a future pick. Think of this young man, Milwaukee Bucks fans, as a McDonald's All-American that needs a development program. We're looking down the road. But a great talent with a great feel for the game. Can you put him in an NBA game right now? You probably cannot. But in the long picture, this kid has as much upside as most anybody in this NBA draft. John Hammond and the Bucks have got to have a good development plan for this young man because he's going to need some strength, some development in terms of the player, but they've got a guy for the future. Frank Fraschilla wasn't totally incorrect, as he saw how big of a ceiling Giannis had. He just didn't know how low his floor was. But he spoke about something that appeared to be a general consensus. At the time of the 2013 NBA Draft, Giannis wasn't NBA ready. Standing at 6'9" and weighing at 196 pounds, Giannis was quite thin for his size. That's why Fraschilla said he had a Kevin Durant body. And while many thought he wasn't really ready for the NBA yet, with a couple of months still left before his 19th birthday on December 2013, Giannis proved everybody wrong. He played in 77 games in his very first season and logged at least 20 minutes in 59 of them. Antetokounmpo also started in 23 games and played in at least 30 minutes in 19 contests. Giannis wasn't a scoring machine or a player as impactful as he is today, but he was still able to contribute to the team while using the playing time to acquire more experience. A lanky body wasn't the only reason many people believed Giannis wasn't NBA ready. As Fraschilla also mentioned, Antetokounmpo hadn't left his native Greece until 3 weeks before the NBA Draft. That wasn't so much the problem, because not only had he only played within Greece, which means he wasn't tested in the EuroLeague like many of the other European players that ended up being first-round picks were, but his only 2 years of professional experience came in Greece's 3rd and 2nd divisions respectively. I studied him extensively on YouTube, and I thought he looked like a Greek Paul George. Now he was going against an 8th grade CYO team, but I was still really impressed. I liked the pick. Unfortunately for Milwaukee, that's a reset button. Now they're rebuilding. This quote by Bill Simmons, one of the most well-respected and experienced analysts in the basketball community, explains why there was so much uncertainty around Antetokounmpo. The lack of true high-level competition Giannis had faced up to that point was quite underwhelming. And perhaps that's the biggest reason why so many teams passed on the Greek freak. It's very hard to measure international players who did not compete in the traditional American basketball college system against the rest of the players in their class. Most top prospects were highly recruited by colleges, and chances are most of them also faced each other head-to-head at one point or another. When you have international players, it's much harder to make accurate comparisons to their fellow classmates. So you can only imagine how much harder it is to assess and evaluate talent when they spent their only 2 professional seasons in the 2nd and 3rd divisions of a league that's not too talented. Today, Giannis is known as one of the most athletic big men in the NBA. But before he was drafted, his NBA draft profile was a bit concerned with Giannis's athleticism. Despite his athletic abilities, he lacks elite explosiveness. He has to bulk up, working especially in the lower body since he's definitely too skinny to face NBA opponents at the moment. The concern is how to develop him correctly from the muscular standpoint in order to avoid loss of speed and mobility. Boris Diaw. Saying Giannis lacks elite explosiveness has been one of the worst takes looking back. Antetokounmpo could jump out of the building every play if he wanted to, and he sometimes delights fans with some slam dunk contest-worthy jams. His explosiveness is very notable every time you watch him drive to the lane, as he's not only strong enough to make it through traffic, but also capable of getting enough elevation to make his shots almost impossible to block. And if this analysis prediction made you laugh, wait until you hear this one, also coming from his draft profile. On the defensive side, he needs to learn the basics, since he's beaten by the opponents due to a lack of proper positioning and comprehension. The overall impression is of a raw prospect from basketball comprehension standpoint, whose is based on instincts, talent, physical gifts, and natural feel for the game. So they are trying to tell us that a guy who didn't have defensive basis 7 years ago just somehow won the Defensive Player of the Year award in 2020? There is quite some truth to the last part of the assessment, which says that Giannis's game is enhanced a lot thanks to his physical gifts and talents. But you do not become a Defensive Player of the Year just by having a high volume of blocks or steals. It's about switching, helping when it's the right time, recovering on screens, communicating with teammates. There's a whole lot of moving pieces for a defense to succeed. Proper positioning and defensive comprehension are not things Antetokounmpo lacks, and it's hard to believe he used to be as deficient on the defensive end as the scouting report suggests. Not only was Giannis the most dominant defensive player this past season, but he anchored the Bucks' #1 ranked defense in the league, allowing just 102.5 points per 100 possessions, more than 2 points than the second-place Raptors. Giannis turned out to be more NBA ready than most people expected. The following is the last paragraph in a Bleacher Report breakdown and scouting report on Giannis written by Jonathan Wasserman before the 2013 draft. He probably won't be considered an NBA point guard, but his ability to create off the dribble will allow him to handle the ball in a secondary role. Antetokounmpo is really on a 5-year plan here in terms of when he's likely to contribute as a regular rotation player, but his upside should be worth the wait if he ever reaches it. Antetokounmpo was quite raw when he came into the league, and as we saw before, there was always some mystery surrounding his level of play. But they really gave him 5 years until he became a regular rotation player? By year 5, Giannis was already a 2-time All-Star and won his 2 MVPs in years 6 and 7. Talk about crushing expectations. Which of these inaccurate draft analysis and predictions about Giannis was the craziest? Can you remember any others that we missed? Tell us what you think in the comments down below, and once again, make sure to leave a like on this video and hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching another Swish Central video, and join us next time for more NBA basketball content.